Hello, long time no vlogging, but I wanted to update you on my progresses. So as I mentioned before, I'm currently working on 4 different things, but mainly on 2. One of them is the dolly bag by Mochi Knits. So I finished knitting the bag, but I haven't cast it off yet, so I'm gonna do that. And right now it looks super long, but I'm supposed to fold down the upper edge. This was a really fast knit, but since I had this as my work project, I still worked on it for a few days. But I'm very positive that if I could, I would knit this in one day. And then for my sweater, I've gotten really far. Here we are. So I'm working on the first arm, but I haven't really been able to work on this as much as I wanted to because I really wanted to finish the ranking video, and that took quite a lot of time. So it takes about a whole week for me to edit one video. I edit a couple of hours after work each day, maybe 1-2 hours. I hope to finish this sweater maybe this week, so I can block it and wear it next week. I'm gonna show you how it looks on me, this sweater. So this is the current state of my sweater, and I think actually that the arm length is quite good. So I'm gonna knit the cuff to the same length as here. I'm currently waiting for my sister to arrive here because we're gonna have a cozy evening together, and tomorrow we're actually gonna attend the Ylletylle knitting day that they have arranged at the Linnéas Kammare, which is I think it's like 20 minutes by car from here. It's gonna be really fun to see her again and to knit together. What are you knitting on?
I'm knitting on the Celine cardigan by Morgan Knits.
And I'm knitting on the Robinia Mittens. Here.
Or did it win?
No. I just wanted to show you guys that I dropped a few stitches. Okay. I am on the last sleeve and also on the cuff or ribbing, and I just have a few rows left, and I'm very happy to announce that I have this much yarn left. So I won the game of yarn chicken, which is great because I was a bit worried. So I wasn't sure that I would have enough yarn because back in November when I first got this yarn in Copenhagen, I bought the amount of yarn that I thought I needed for the sweater number 14 that I originally wanted to knit with this. But then when I switched to the sweater, I wasn't sure that I would have enough. But I thought that since these two sweaters are pretty similar, I thought it would be fine, which it turned out to be. So I'm very happy about it. And while I'm trying to finish this cuff, I just wanted to recap our day at the Ylletylle knitting event that my sister and I were at earlier today. So my sister and I had a great day out there at Linnéas Kammare. When we came there, I think most of us had already arrived. So we sat by ourselves, which I didn't mind at all. I had hoped that there would be a larger range of different ages, but there were mostly older people there, which is totally fine. But I don't know, sometimes it's nice to have a couple of more younger people to talk to. We just had a really great time. We had a lovely lunch, which consisted of a tomato soup, and then after lunch we had a game of yarn bingo, which was really fun to play. So basically they had printed out sheets of paper with different yarn names, and then the Ulotyl worker who was with us, she pulled out different yarns that she shouted out to us, and we just had to cross them off on our sheet. And then if you won, you would shout bingo, you know. And then it got more difficult each time somebody won. So in the end, you had to have in total 3 rows to win. Yeah, basically my sister and I didn't win anything at all. But other than that, we didn't do anything much other than knitting and chatting. It was really relaxing to be out there. And I hadn't been there before at Linneas Kammer, so it was really nice to just visit the place as well. Now I need to count the rows. I'm not sure. I just talked and then I just knitted and I don't know where I am. Now it's time to block this finally. I have weaved in the ends, but I haven't cut the ends because just in case I need to unravel something. And in it goes. I'm gonna let it soak for maybe an hour. I need to fill up the water, but hope you will turn out pretty. I think it has dried now, so I'm gonna try it on. This is the segment where I go through my latest finished piece, and here she is, my sweater. And currently the sun is setting, but it still looks quite bright in the video. This video that you're seeing right now is recorded a couple of weeks after all of the other videos, so I have been able to wear this sweater a couple times. I think that I can actually give you a better review of this sweater. So I used the Gepard Woolia yarn for this, and it's a merino wool, but it's not as soft as some other merino wool yarns that I've tried before. However, even though it feels a bit more rustic, I feel that it's still nice enough that you won't get bothered by it. I thought it would soften up quite a lot after I blocked it, and it did actually. And also I've been wearing this quite a lot. I think I wear this 2 or 3 times a week, and I've been wearing this like throughout a whole day for at least 8 hours. And sometimes for some of my other sweaters or cardigans, my skin gets irritated after a couple hours, but with this yarn I didn't feel that at all, which is so nice. I compared this to the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. I think that the Gepard Woolia is a lot better, or is more gentle to my skin. So if you feel that the Heavy Merino by Knitting for Olive is slightly itchy, then you could try this as a substitute. I think they're almost the same weight, but not quite sure if they are a perfect match, but it's a great substitute. And I mentioned this in previous videos, but I did quite a few modifications to this sweater, but I did enjoy following the pattern. It was quite easy to follow. I think I didn't have any issues with the pattern at all. And for the size, I knitted this in a size 2, I think, but I had to shorten down the arm length and the body length because I'm slightly shorter, or slightly, I'm a lot shorter than most people. So if I summarize my modifications, one of them is that I made the ribbing around the neckline slightly shorter, so it's 3.5 folded, and I also continued the raglan ribbing pattern down the sides, and I did the split a bit later than the pattern. I also did the bottom ribbing a lot shorter. I made the bottom ribbing the same length as for the sleeves, so it's 12 or 13 centimeters long, and I think that's basically all of my modifications. It feels like I'm repeating myself, but this is probably one of my favorite things that I've knitted so far. I really love this and it fits me so well. It's slightly oversized but not too much, and it's surprisingly not too warm on me, and I just think that the color also really suits me. And also about the yarn, I think I talked a lot about this, that I was afraid that the unevenness in my knitting would show, but then after blocking it turned out to be really great. So I don't really see any obvious unevenness. I let it soak for at least 1 hour, I think maybe 2 hours, and it really evened out, so I'm really happy about that transformation. One thing that I have noticed is it has started to somewhat pill, but it's barely noticeable, and I'm not even sure if it's gonna pill even more after this. So I think the fibers are quite locked into the fabric. We will see how this will look after a year of usage, but for now it's like nothing compared to my cardigan number 9 that has pilled quite a lot in just a short amount of time, and I worn this quite a lot actually. So this was my unsweater. Honestly, I really thought I had already talked about this. This is my latest knitting project, and I am using, let's see, I am using the Peruvian by Filcolana in 2 different colors. The darker one is the color 973, and then the lighter one is in 978. So here in the example photo you have a high contrast, but for me I just wanted to have not so obvious contrast. And these are my first mittens, so I just finished or almost finished the first mitten. However, I didn't do any gauge swatch, so my gauge is slightly off, which is, I don't know how to think about it, because it's wider than it's supposed to be in the pattern, but it's also a bit shorter. It fits me quite well if I block it and then pull it slightly on the length, but I think it might be a bit too wide for the circumference. I'm very tempted to start on my second mitten and just use a smaller needle size to see if it fits me better. And another thing that I'm not really sure about are these floats. I'm not sure how they're gonna turn out after I blocked it, because right now my fingers get stuck, but it's not like that bad. So I was kind of tempted to make an insert with some fleece material, but this is already quite warm. I thought I would show you how it looks on my hand. It looks a bit wide, right? Because I'm also gonna have my thumb here. So then for the other fingers, I think the mitten would be a bit too wide. But then again, if I make an insert, then it would be the right size. I'll get back to you on what I decide on. I just came home from another knitting cafe, and I had a really nice evening there with the other girls. We weren't that many today, but it was still very nice to see each other again. There were some new people there, but also a few people that had already been to the knitting cafe. And I'm actually still working on my Robinia mittens, and this is the second mitten that I knitted, but the first one that is actually gonna be one of my mittens, because as you remember, this one was a slight fail because it's too wide, so it looks like a balloon almost. So I went down half a needle size with this. The gauge is a bit more tight now, which is good. I'm not sure when I'm gonna finish this because this is my at work knitting project, so I don't really prioritize this right now. So this is one project that I'm working on, and then also I've started to make a gauge swatch for the Birdie Sweater by Knitwear. I thought it looks super nice. It's a drop shoulder sweater with kind of like simple but elegant braided structure. And you knit this on 5mm needles and a 4.5mm needle for the ribbing. Yeah, so I started on my swatch and I'm not finished yet, but I will block it afterwards and see how I can adjust it to get the right gauge, because now I feel it's a bit too thin and a bit too see-through, but I'm very curious to see how it looks after I washed it. I really want to use these two yarns for this project, and I wouldn't really like to add another thread or change one of them, but we'll see. I might just have two, but I hope not. I got this yarn from the yarn festival last October, and this is by Fingerborg, which is a Swedish yarn dyer. I don't remember exactly. This is the Fingerborg Puff in the color potato. And this is, I think, merino in also the color potato. Speaking of my vlog, it's like, I don't know how YouTube works, but it's so strange. I posted my vlog 2 days ago and I just checked the number of views right now, and it's like over 400 views, which is so weird because I don't know how that happened. Usually I get around 100, 200 views. I don't think it has even been 48 hours since I posted it, which is mind-blowing. But like I said, I don't know what did something happen? Is it my thumbnail? Should I post more often on Mondays? I don't know. I'm very happy and thankful that there are people watching my videos because it makes me want to post more. So I think my swatch has dried down and I need to measure it. I hope that, well, I see that I don't like this fabric, it's too big. So I'm just gonna see how off I am. Okay, so I just counted the number of stitches in rows. I have about 16 to 17 stitches and then 25 rows. And the gauge for the pattern is 19 by 26. So I'm a bit off, which is good, at least for the number of stitches on the row. And I care more about the number of stitches on one row rather than the number of rows because it's easier for me to adjust the length. So I'm gonna go down half a needle size to 4.5 and I will make a smaller gauge swatch for this, and then I will see if I like the fabric better or not. I hope so because I really want to use this